So we're here wrapping up a really eventful Munich Security Conference with the Foreign Minister of Estonia, Margus Tsahkna. Mr. Tsahkna, thank you very much for joining DW. Now, Estonia, of course, is considered one of the most vulnerable members of NATO, considering the scenarios that people worry about in the future, potential Russian attack, testing NATO's responses. Do you feel reassured by what has happened this weekend, particularly the speech made by the US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, that many talk as a sign of reassurance?
Actually, the story that Estonia is one of the most vulnerable countries in Europe is a fake news. We know exactly what to do. We prepare for a Russian probable invasion, and the deterrence is really strong.
And essentially what? I think what people see is that Estonia might be one of the first targets.
Yeah, this is like a classical understanding about the invasion, and if you see the map, then it's very logical. But in real life, what we do is that we are increasing heavily our capabilities. I think that NATO is stronger than ever before. We have new defense plans already since Vilnius, and it means that we are not waiting if Russia is coming to our territories and then we're fighting back. We will bring the war to Russia. Deep strike capabilities, it will be there. But what we are concerned is actually the political will. We are concerned about Europe, that if Europe is ready actually to make decisions, to stand up, to be stronger, and it was exactly the topic what we were talking here in Munich all these days. And as well, Secretary Rubio's speech, I think that it was exactly the same actually that Vice President Vance had a year ago. But time has passed. We have witnessed during this year many crazy momentums, Alaska meeting with Putin, Greenland, pressure on Ukraine. And now just Secretary Rubio is more decent in the meaning of his language. But the message was the same, that US needs stronger Europe. And actually we need stronger Europe. And I think that this Munich conference showed as well that Europe is waking up.
I mean, I found one comment really interesting by Elbridge Colby, so the American Undersecretary of War, sort of seen as the thinker in the Pentagon, who said in an event with a European think tank, he said that a certain amount of anxiety in Europe is salutary, so suggesting that there'd been almost too much reassurance from the United States in the past. Does that chime with you? Do you think it's good for Europe to be nervous, and do you see this as part of America's communication strategy, like intentionally to rattle European nerves?
From Estonian perspective, we have been talking already maybe 20 years that Europe must do more. Europe must have more self-confidence. And Europe must use the leverages what we have, not only about defense, what we are normally think that US is coming to and take care of us. So our relation with US as Europe, it is very strong, it will remain strong, but it is not anymore unconditional. There are conditions. And that's why, from our perspective, we cannot be nervous. I'm always telling our people as well, let's cool down, but let's use this pressure to wake up as well Europe, because we have lots of leverages. And now I think that the new goal, as a vision, we have a lack of vision and self-confidence in Europe. The new vision must be, let's unite Europe. I'm not talking about European Union, I'm talking about Ukraine, I'm talking about enlargement, I'm talking about more responsibilities on defense and as well economically. And somehow, to be very cynical, the Greenland case, what President Trump said, actually united us more than ever. And as well, European Union was able to say loudly that we are ready to act and we can respond to US. So it's not like the war or bad relations between Europe and US, but we need to understand that it's not only about President Trump. We will never see such a US anymore as it was in the past. But we cannot just be in defensive position as Europe. We must move forward. We have to have vision and self-confidence. And here in Munich, in different meetings, I see that it is starting to happen.
Well, let's look about a couple of examples where this European Union is European unity and collaboration is really questioned. One is that Emmanuel Macron, the French president, sent one of his top diplomats recently for a meeting with the Russians. This was criticized pretty widely within Europe. What's your view? Do you think that was helpful, or was that a bad move?
We have been always in the position that talk to Putin without any real plan is a mistake. We have been executing this kind of policy in Europe decades. And what was the outcome? Outcome was more war, more aggressive Russia. So at the moment, there's a totally wrong way to go to start finding some kind of special envoy for European Union, sending this envoy to Kremlin, because this envoy will come back with a humiliated position and even weaker, and also weakening as well Ukraine position. But of course, if President Macron wants to talk to Putin, this is, he can do whatever. But the good thing is that this week on Thursday, informal meeting of European leaders, there was no support for this idea to start talking with Kremlin. We must put more pressure on Russia not to talk with them.
Well, let's look at another topic. So defense cooperation is seen as so important, but one of the flagship projects has been going on for years. So FCAS, so this idea of a future fighter jet fighter program between France and Germany, has been through incredible struggles, and now there are doubts that it's ever really going to happen. What kind of a message does that send to you? So Estonia, obviously a small country that is dependent on NATO for its air defences. What's your message to those big countries? Do they need to pull themselves together and work out how to cooperate on these projects?
And this is one example that this European collaboration sometimes is too difficult. And there is different reasons why it is like this. But we need to understand in Europe that it's not about a different national interest about defense industry. There is no competition between each other. We actually need more support, more new innovation, and Ukraine is our opportunity. I want to change this narrative in Europe that now we are telling that we support Europe because we need to help them. No, in the future we need Ukraine in Europe. We need Ukraine capabilities. We need Ukraine innovation. We need Ukraine army actually to have a peace guarantees for Europe. So we need to change this understanding as well that inside Europe we are competing, we are somehow struggling. No, our global goal is actually to be more competitive, and this is one example that we are spending lots of money, lots of time, and outcome is mainly zero. We don't have this luxury. We need to focus on what can we do in real life, and also first time ever we have a lot of money coming into defense. Now we must be smart, not to invest to the past, but actually invest to the future, be innovative, and as well bring Ukraine in, because Ukraine will change our attitude as well.
Final question, one of the big kind of European discussions at the moment that's happening mostly behind closed doors is about whether Europe needs a more integrated nuclear deterrent, whether France and the UK need to extend deterrence to other European member states. Is that something that you feel that Estonia would benefit from, or are you concerned by the implications of these very sensitive conversations?
We are in Estonia very practical people. And for us, the defense issue is not theoretical. This is a very practical thing. So we have been investing 21 years to NATO, and NATO is actually the frame which is working. It's not a theoretical thing. These are the plans, commitments, protocols. So we cannot start create something different. So I think that NATO umbrella about nuclear deterrence is something we need to invest heavily more. But I'm not against to have these discussions that whether we could have the additional opportunity, because France is the only country in Europe who has actually independent nuclear capabilities. So we cannot compete, but we can add it, this opportunity. And also it gives some leverages as well with the relation with US. So it's a good thing to discuss, but in real life there won't be any kind of new European army or totally independent nuclear deterrence, because we need to work together. So our enemies in Russia, our competitive country is actually China. So let's have this kind of theoretical, academical discussions, but in real life, let's invest to this NATO umbrella of the nuclear detection.
Margus, Tsahkna, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.